once again on my channel. So today I'll be showing you guys on how you can cut a princess that spaghetti with a spaghetti sleeve, or a princess that bustier prom dress. Okay, you can use it as your prom dress. By this particular tutorial, the down part I'll be adding it will be fitting, it will be fitted. Okay, so now this tutorial is all about presents that bustier with a sleeveless or spaghetti sleeves, or you can call it a prom dress. All right, so let's get started. Here I'll be drafting the upper part on this pattern paper before I'll transfer it on my fabric. All right, so now without wasting much of our time, so the next thing I will do, I'll be using this place will serve as a down part. Okay, as the down part, right? So I'll go ahead and measure my, the first thing I'm going to mark out is my shoulder to waist, shoulder to underbust. So let me go ahead and mark out this line to serve as my baseline. Okay, so here I'll just make a straight line like this to serve as my guide. So after that, from this line, I'll go ahead and determine my shoulder to underbust measurement. And the shoulder to underbust measurement I have the underbust measurement of 13 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add extra, you can add extra half inch, or you can add extra 1 inch of sewing allowance, because you will be joining the top as well as the down part. Okay, you know, remember the down part will be attaching your, it's either your flare down, or you can be making it fit. All right, so now, so from here I have this, my underbust measurement. I have the underbust of 13. So I'll go ahead and add extra 1 inches, so which will give me 14 inches. So from here now I have my starting line. So here I have my starting line, or my shoulder line. So like this. Okay, now, so after that, the next thing I will do right now, so I'll be using here will serve as the midpoint. Okay, so there's no need of marking any other line, so let me maintain this line. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and measure out my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is, i have the shoulder measurement of I have the shoulder measurement of I have the shoulder measurement of 16 inches. So when you divide 16 by 2, that will give us 8. So I'll just go ahead and mark out my 8 here. So from the shoulder line, I'll just mark out my 8. So here, so from here now, I'll go ahead and mark out my armhole line. So I'll be using 8 inches for my armhole line. All right, so here, first of all, I'll go ahead and mark out my shoulder slope. So from here I'll measure my 8 inches. So I have 8 inches for my shoulder, for my armhole line. So here I have 8 inches as well. So I'm using my shoulder measurement to get my armhole line. So this is what I have. So now I'll measure the midpoint. So here, this is, you mark the midpoint of whatever you have. So after that, I'm going to be extending it by 2 inches. Remember, this is a presence that bustier. So you have to extend it by 2 inches. Though it's not really necessary, but we still need it. So this is this is the armhole now. All right. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and mark out my shoulder to bust point. So my bust point, I have 10. So this is 10 inches. I will be marking 1 inch, half inch above the bust point and half inch below the bust point. So the next thing is to determine my under bust measurement, which is 13 inches. So I have 13 here. So I'll go ahead and rule the lines. So here, like this is the bust point. This is my under bust. Just the same way we'll mark out our sense that bust here. So I'll go ahead and mark out my bust span measurement, nipple to nipple. So I have 4.5 here. I'm going to mark it all around down. So I'll connect. Okay. So after that, now the next thing I'll do, I'll go ahead and from here, from this half point, you remember I came up by half an inch and I came down by half an inch. So here on this underbust, I'll be marking 1.5 inches away and 1 inches in. So like this, I'll go ahead and connect the lines. Okay, so this is what I have. So after that, the next thing I'll do from here, from this underbust, I'll connect the lines to the half inches above the bust point like this. So I've connected it. So the next thing is to connect it to this, the midpoint. Remember the midpoint we got, so I'll go ahead and connect it like this. All right, so this is it. So after that, I'll be using my French curve to connect this from here, from that half inches below. I'll go ahead and connect it. We blend it in this way. After which, I'll go ahead and connect it this way also to make a very round curve, to make sure it's not pointed. So this is what I have. Then I'll go ahead and blend it into the extended, to our extension. So this is what I have. So guys, after this now, the next thing I will do, remember, is it's more like a camisole. You can say it's a camisole or a presence that bustier sleeveless top or gown. So after that now, the next thing I will do here, so I will go ahead and, so guys, the next thing I'll do right now is to, I will be marking from shoulder to, remember it's an off shoulder, right? So remember, sometimes we minus 5 inches for our off shoulder. So I'll be marking it. So from here, I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder to here is 5 inches. Okay, so this is what I have. So from here now, I'll go ahead and determine how wide or maybe neck, the kind of neck, neck width I want, how many inches of neck width. So let's say I want to use like maybe 4.5 inches, or you can use 4 inches. Okay, let's use 4 inches of neck width. So here is my 4 inches. From here, from this 5 inches, from here, it's like we are minusing this 5 inches. So from here, I'm going to determine my neck depth, or you can use your midpoint for your armhole midpoint here. Remember, this is my midpoint. You can use this line as well. All right, so now after that, the next thing I will do right now is to determine how wide, how deep I want, my the, or how I want the cleavage to show, how deep I want the neck depth. All right, so here, let me say I want it so deep. Maybe I'll be using the bust point. I'll use the bust point. So the next thing I'll do, I'll be using this curve. This is my hip curve. So I don't want, you can decide to bring it down to the under bust, or maybe somewhere above it, anywhere depending on your choice. Okay, so but I'll be using my bust point, but I don't want it to be so deep because I don't have that bust. I'm not that busty. So from here now, I'll go ahead and connect it. You can use a straight rule. If you want, you can use a straight rule to rule it, or you make a slight curve. So there is no much different. All right, so after that now, from here, I'll be adding half inches allowance here. So this is half inch. So the next thing after this now, I'll go ahead and mark out my bust circumference. I have 37 inch for my bust. So here is 37 divided by 4. So my dart intake, you measure your dart intake and you mark it. Then you add your sewing allowance. I'll be adding 1 inch or 1.5 sewing allowance. So here at the under bust, I have 32 inches for my under bust divided by 4. Then my dart intake 2.5 inch. So here, and my sewing allowance, I have it here. So you do the same thing. So here I'll bring whatever I have here. I have 12 inches, so I'm going to bring it down here as well. So after which, go ahead and connect the lines. So now this is what I have here. So the next thing I'll do, from this half inches allowance I added here, I'll go ahead and use my curve rule, my armhole curve or French curve, to connect it this way. So I'll be connecting it like this to this half inches. So this is how it's going to look like. So here, okay guys, so as you can see, this is what I have. All right, I hope you guys understood what I'm doing here. So after that now, okay, yeah, remember this is from shoulder to the under bust. All right, so you can decide to make it shoulder to waist. All right, so now this is my shoulder to under bust. So the next thing I'll do right now is to cut it. So this is my neckline. This is how deep I want the neckline to be. To stop at my bust point. You can extend it if you so wish. Maybe you want it to be at the under bust. You want a maybe deep illusion neckline. You can extend it like this. So you can extend it like this. Everything depends on your choice. But I'll be stopping here. I don't have much boot, so there's no need for me to no cleavage to expose. So I will leave it at my bust point. So this is what I have now. I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'll be cutting this out, okay? But guys, remember, because here, if you cut exact here, remember if you cut exact, when you are sewing, you'll be shortage of fabric here. So this one, there will be shortage. So what I'm going to do right now, so guys, what I'm going to do right now, if I cut exact, by the time I'm done sewing here, I will be shortage. This place will be shortage. There will be a shortage on this part. Here it's supposed to be longer. That is reason for this extension. This is a normal bustier, presence that bustier. But because we are going to be making it sleeveless, so that is why you can see here the extension is gone. But we don't need to cut it exact like this. If not, there will be shortage after sewing. So the thing I'll do right now, I'll go ahead and connect this armhole to this original armhole line here. You can see, let me measure what I have from the line here. I think I have 1.2. I think that's okay. So, or you can go ahead and connect this way, just for you to make sure you don't have shortage. After which, you go ahead when sewing, it's either it will rhyme up, or if it's excess, you can still go ahead and trim it off. So now I will just connect from here. This part, we are talking of this part, okay? This is where the shortage always come from. After joining here, so if you don't add extra extension here, there will be shortage. So from here, I'll just go ahead and connect it to this armhole. So for me to have, instead of cutting this way, I would rather cut extension here. So let me use a different marker so that you guys will understand. So from here now, this is our original armhole. I have a video on how to cut a presence dart. So here, this is the one I'll be cutting instead of this, because when I cut this after sewing, I'll have shortage. So guys, I think we are done with this. This is my neckline. I'll be working with this, not this one. So the next thing is for me to cut it out. So I'll just cut it out for you to understand. So from here, I'll start with the neckline. So let me cut the neckline like this. Remember, when you are cutting you place it on fold. My pattern is not on fold. Okay, so this is out, right? So now I'll cut. Remember, this is my shoulder to under. You can extend yours to from shoulder to waist, or depending on the design you are making. All right, so after that, now the next thing I will do, I want you to understand where I'll be cutting for you not to have shortage. So this is what I have. So here, so after sewing, you can see I have more extension. I won't have shortage. All right, guys. So now I will transfer this on our fabric. Okay, guys. So now, as you can see, I'm done cutting. I've transferred my pattern on my fabric. So I ended up extending my pattern to my waistline. Like I said, you can either stop at the underbust or you extend it to your waistline. So I decided to extend it to the waistline, okay? Because I don't want to have a band. Remember, after stopping at the waistline, you are going to be adding extra band in front or at both back and front so that you'll be able to join your down part, okay? So but I don't want to have any band, so that's why I've extended it to my waist. So you can either stop at your underbust or you can stop at your waistline. So you can see my pattern, I've extended it, okay? So this is it. I'm done transferring it. So this particular one, I won't be having, and the reason why I don't want to have band at the back, I want the down to be very, very low. It will just start at the waistline, the back. So the remaining part from the waistline to the top, I'll use my rope to lace it. So there will be lacing, okay? So that is the reason. So this back part, I won't be cutting any back. It will be a strapless dress. The back is going to be strapless, okay? So I'll just use my rope to lace the back, starting from the top down to the waist. There will be lacing on it. So that is reason for this, um the reason why I decided to extend it, okay? All right, so now we are about to cut the down part. Remember I said the down part is going to be fitted. You can use either flare, maybe full flare, 360-degree flare, or 180-degree flare, depending on your choice, anyhow you want it. So now, as you can see what I have here. So here, this is my waistline. You can see I've already marked out my waistline, okay? So guys, this is my waistline. So from my waist to my dress length, this is what I have here. And my dress length, I want to make it a 3/4. It's not going to be short, it's not going to be long, it's going to be 3/4. So you have to decide your dress length. So here, this line will serve as my waistline. Here, i'm using a I'm using a velvet material. You know it's very, very stretchy. So that's why I'm using chalk to mark on it. This is the wrong side. I'm using pen rather. If I'm using chalk, it won't be visible and it will keep moving the fabric. So I think pen is very easy for me. Remember, this is the wrong side. Don't mark at the right side. So from my shoulder to waist, I have 17 inches. So here is my hip line and here is the knee, okay? So now go ahead. From here, now I'll be adding my waist. This is stretchy fabric. So I'll my waist measurement, remember, is 32 inches. So 32 divided by 4, that will give us 8. So I'll just go ahead and add. You can add just maybe half an inch of allowance or 1 inch, okay? Because it's very, very stretched, you don't need much allowance. So my hip, I have 40 inches for the hip, which is 10. My hip, so I'll just add 1 inch of sewing allowance, or you can decide to reduce your hip length, hip size, hip circumference, okay? Actually my hip circumference is 41, but I've reduced it to 40 because it's very, very stretchy. All right, or you can mark exact, but you limit your allowance. So here, so I'll be minusing 1.5. I want it to be very, very pencil. So here I have 11 inches, but I'll go ahead and make it. Okay, let me minus 4 inches from my hip. So that will give me 36. So 36, I have 9 inches here for the 36. So I'll just add 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll bring everything down. You can decide to reduce more depending on how pencil you want it. Remember, this is a stretchy fabric, so you don't need too much allowance. I'm using this pen on the wrong side of the fabric. Please, at the wrong side. So here on this hip line, on my waistline, will come in by half inch or 0.7 here. So I would, for me to eliminate a zipper bulge at this down part, I'm going to be using zipper, okay, at the down part here. So, so I think we are done with this. The next thing is to cut it out. There will be no dart. It's a dartless dress, but this is very stretchy. Okay, guys, so I'm done cutting it. So this is the down part of this dress. It's going to be a three-quarter. So this is the front. So remember what I said. So I'll from here I'll be attaching my rope, okay, for lacing. From here it's going to be from the front down to the back, or the, yeah. So I'll go ahead and cut. I'll be using the same fabric for my lining. So I'll be cutting exact for my lining, okay, for the upper part, because I'll be attaching my brazier cup. I'll be using a brazier or the already made brazier cup inside to enable the bust, okay. All right, so that is the next thing I'll do. So I'll just go ahead and duplicate it and move to the sewing table, to the sewing machine rather. Thank you guys for joining me on this tutorial. If you find this tutorial helpful, please kindly give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not subscribed. And when you do so, please hit notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much guys for joining me on this tutorial. Bye.